Hello and happy Hobbit release day. The set just came out for me. I just rolled out of bed, but I'm ready to go. We're going to have some fun and see how this deck ends up playing out. Now, when Marvel Superheroes came out, I did a day one pack opening and day one deck video, and a lot of people seem to like that video, but I decided against it for the Hobbit because, well, the decks that I ended up coming up with were a little bit uninspiring, and I think they probably need a whole lot more work than the Marvel superhero decks did. But I am going to show them off in this video to give you guys some ideas. But what we're going to end up doing in this one is a Belladonna Took token strategy video. I'm going to come back to this one, talk a little bit about it before we hop into some games. But like I said, I want to show off some of the decks that I did end up coming up with. One of the first ones was, of course, a mono red dragon deck. Smog seems pretty interesting, plays really nicely with treasure tokens. So maybe there's something here. Desolation of Smog, I was a whole lot happier or excited about when Badgermole Cub was still around. But as of yesterday, things have changed, and I'm not really sure if this is going to be like a main board playable card anymore. But yeah, Smog, maybe there's something to the dragon. Of course, elves are represented in the Hobbit, and the elves that we have available in Standard are quite powerful. Things like Elvish Archdruid. So it's possible that a deck like this can finally see some play with the two new cards, Cantankerous Keepers and the Woodland Weave Master. But elves is one of those decks that I think a lot of people always end up trying, and it always ends up falling flat. Dwarves is one that I'm actually quite excited to try out, but I think this is one of the decks that's going to require the most tuning and playing around with because we have a ton of awesome dwarves, but a lot of them are legendary because that's the way we're making cards in 2026, right? The other thing about this deck is that we do want to lean into equipment, so finding a nice balance between the creatures and the equipment is going to be a little bit of a juggling act, and I'm not really sure. But I am excited to try this one out because I think a lot of these dwarves are quite powerful and interesting. So maybe there's something here. Whether or not it's actually going to be playable, I don't know, but I'm definitely going to be trying it out. Wizards is definitely going to be one that I know a lot of people are going to be trying out, and the main reason for that is because of the new wizard staff. We do have powerful wizards in the format such as Slickshot Showoff and Balmor. Mix that in with this wizard staff giving double triggers to all of our prowess and other Balmor prowess-esque type triggers, and while the deck seems like it could be quite powerful. Also, there's Gandalf Goblin's Bane. This thing is interesting. Whether or not it's powerful enough to play, I don't know. As a 3 of in a deck, probably certainly not, but I do want to try it out, and this is one that I'm going to be messing around with later on today, possibly, or at least very soon. Goblins came out in Lorwyn, and there were a lot of goblins that seem to have a lot of potential, but just not quite enough. Well, I still want to try leaning into the like goblin sacrifice ping strategy that was going on in Lorwyn, and I think cards like Ronin seems like a pretty good addition to this deck because a lot of our creatures are going to have 1 power or toughness. Dealing 2 damage to the opponent seems like a pretty good idea. Throw in something like a Vengeful Blood Witch, and suddenly every time we are sacrificing or blighting some of our goblins, maybe we're going to be pinging our opponents. So again, this is another one of those decks that I think has some potential, but it's going to take some fine tuning to figure out the correct balance behind this one. 2 more to go? Yes. This one is actually one of the ones that I'm most excited to try out. Wolves. I think the Wolves actually have some pretty good play. We got a lot of Wolf cards from the Hobbit, and they seem good enough. It's like a ferocious flash type sub theme going on with the deck, and I don't know. I think it's possible. Things like Bejeweled Warg. It's a very pushed 2 CMC card. I don't know if it's going to be good enough for standard, but there's certainly a lot of power behind this card. So I'm very, very interested in trying this one out and just tuning it a little bit to see if we can get into a playable spot. And then the last one, of course, the Eagles are coming, and the Lord of the Eagles seem like very powerful cards that a lot of people want to try out. This one I'm just so interested in. I don't know how it's going to actually play. It seems powerful on the surface, but in practice, it might be a different story. I figured it might be good in a Momo Azorius value flyers list where we're playing the Springleaf Drum. We want to put out the Starfield Shepherd, get a whole bunch of value, getting some of our 1 CMC stuff or our planes. And then, through that, maybe we bounce some stuff with the Sky Coach conductors all aboard or the Daydream. And eventually we have some pretty good flyers on the board that allows us to get a cheap Lord of the Eagles out. And then, of course, we can maybe rescue our team with the Eagles are coming. I see it, but I'm not sure if it'll actually work. So those are my reservations about the decks that I ended up putting together, but hopefully that gives you some ideas. Now, back to the main meat of this video. We're going to be trying out Belladonna Took. Belladonna Took says, whenever a token you control enters, you gain 1 life if this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn. If it's the second time, draw a card, and if it's the third time, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So of course, we want to lean into the token strategy. How do we do that? The main 2 ways are going to be the Last Ronin's Technique and of course Hop to It. Hop to It creates 3 creatures. Last Ronin's Technique also creates 3 white ninja turtle spirits. That's a mouthful. For this one, it's 4 CMC, but it does have the sneak ability, which means that we have some 1 CMC stuff that will create tokens if certain things happen, or are going to be creatures that the opponent maybe can't block or doesn't want to block. Lake Town Lookout is a new card from the Hobbit. This thing is interesting because when it dies, you recruit. So it's not such a bad creature to just like throw at the opponent, because maybe they just don't want us to trigger the Belladonna Took by creating a token. So maybe they let it through, and then what we can do is we can sneak in the Last Ronin's Technique and get away with that. Same kind of logic behind the nesting bot. Maybe they don't want to block it because it makes a token. Momo, Playful Pet, the bad Momo, but this thing is good because when it leaves the field, it has an ability. It also has flying, so it's a little bit more evasive. Maybe we can fly in with this one, bounce it out with the sneak ability, get some extra value, create some tokens. That's the idea. I'm sure you can see it. And then, of course, Stadium Headliner and Voice of Victory are both creatures that have mobilized. This is going to work very well with Belladonna Took on an attack. Kind of cool. Frontline Rush, we can create goblins on our opponent's turn. So maybe we throw this out on the opponent's turn. We trigger Took twice, draw a card. Not too bad. Sure. Then we need some ways to win. Lorehold Charm is going to be a buff or a resurrection for our Belladonna Took, possibly. Probably is what's going to happen there. Practiced Offense, it is an insane card. If we have a super wide board, why wouldn't Practiced Offense be good? And then one of the fun of Catharsis, it makes tokens. It also acts as a pump plus haste card if we get to that point. So I don't know. I want to try Catharsis. It's one of those cards I really like, and I think it has potential, but it just hasn't really found the right home. So that's the Hobbit. I hope you, well, I don't know. What do you think about those decks? Do you get some inspiration from them? Let me know what you think about those decks. Also, let me know, of those 7 other decks, which ones would you actually like to see in a video? Because I'll probably be playing some of those ideas in future videos. And also let me know what you think about the Belladonna Took and whether or not it's going to hold up to this new Badgermole Cub, Stormchaser's Talent, and Gran-Gran less format that we find ourselves in. What a wild ban yesterday, by the way, right? Let me know what you think about that. So let's hop into some games. A little bit of a long intro, but you know, we went over a bunch of other stuff. Hope you enjoy the gameplay. Hope the gameplay goes well. See you over there. All right, a bit of a lengthy intro, but I think once in a while, got to do those. Hopefully seeing those decks will have given you some inspiration to do something. I don't know. Or maybe they're just, they have no purpose behind them. It's fine. So we got our opening hand. What we want to do, we need, the problem with this deck that I see is that you desperately need the early Belladonna Took, because although Last Ronin's Technique is very good on turn 2, it's not really what you want to be doing, because you really do need to find, the, oh, I messed up. I messed up right away. Not putting out the land. I clicked to thing. I was talking too much. You really want her on the field before you start doing this stuff. All right, it's fine. So we could go Voice of Victory, or we could go Lake Town Lookout plus Nesting Bot, which I actually kind of like a little bit more because of the tiny bones with the Death Touch. I don't really want to throw my Voice of Victory into a Death Touching creature. And I would rather block the tiny bones with the Nesting Bot than allow the tiny bones to live. They challenge it. Okay. So I think I'm fine. You know what? Let's put the Lake Town Lookout in front of it. Let's push the recruit ability to its limit and see what it can do. So we get to recruit, we get to draw a card. And if we discard a card, we create a baby. So Last Ronin's Technique puts more stuff on the field than the Voice of Victory. Voice of Victory is going to make it a little bit harder for the opponent to do stuff on the following turn. So I think probably the Voice of Victory is going to be a little bit better. I have to imagine this type of deck is going to be holding up Bitter Triumphs in that. Second Tiny Bones. Hello. Okay, Frontline Rush. Interesting. Let's just get the Voice of Victory down now. They might be holding up. Oh, maybe a Burst Lightning is what I'm thinking. They just let the 2 damage go through. Cool. So Tiny Bones attacks in. Tiny Bones only non-land permanents, which we have one in our graveyard. If that's the case, I don't know if I really want to be letting the Tiny Bones through to be able to grab that Lake Town Lookout. They did have the shock. Interesting. Called it. Are you attacking with the Tiny Bones? I guess, that's not a bad attack. Attack with the Tiny Bones. They get the Lake Town Lookout for free. That's a pretty good card to put onto the battlefield. And it leaves us in a little bit of a weirder position. Now, they are at 17, missing their lands by the looks of it. No, okay, there you go. We find our land. Hello. Well, I guess what we're doing is we're just attacking and putting as much damage as we can on the opponent, doing last Ronin technique, building up towards a frontline rush on the following turn. I suppose I could have put out the land and done things just a little bit differently, but I think this is fine. I would rather just put out the Lake Town Lookout on the following turn rather than use the frontline rush to pump. I definitely didn't have lethal damage there. So with the Lake Town Lookout, what you really want to find is practiced offense, because putting that into the graveyard is not such a big deal. I didn't have a recruit there. Oh, they had the recruit. They had my recruit. I don't know. My brain just like, yeah, there's a recruit trigger on the field. Of course I get to recruit something. No, my boy, I bounced my boy back to my hand. My boy, my dwarf, my human scout is not a dwarf. Lake Town, not a dwarf town. This is the town that got demoed by Smog, I guess. I'm not. How are you with Hobbit lore familiarity? I'm not so great. Okay, the opponent decides to go with the Cursed Rakshasa onto our Lake Town Lookout and our Voice of Victory, which I am kind of okay with. So next turn, we're going to be attacking in with a ton of damage. So here we go. Get to do this attack. We actually get to bounce one of these decayed creatures to actually save it as well. So that's pretty interesting. Unless they double block, but I don't think they're going to block on the decaying creatures, because they're probably thinking, okay, well, the decayed creatures are going to die anyways, so what's the big deal? But we get to return this back to our hand, and we get to see a front line rush X10. Where are we going to put this? We're going to put this on the Lake Town Lookout for Respect. That was a card that, hey, I think it did quite a bit of work for us in this opening match. And a little bit lucky that the opponent had a bit of a slow one to start off, but hey, it's possible we can win. But we didn't win with the Belladonna Took, so we got to keep running until we find that. All right, game number 2. This morning is going to be a bit of a tight morning. I have about 3 hours, maybe a little less than 3 hours, to be able to record the video, edit the video, make the thumbnail, and upload it to YouTube. And that, man, I hate the release window. It's such a bad thing. Honestly, kind of thinking about maybe when the release happens, moving my schedule a little bit. Wednesday, for me, it's a Wednesday night video, Wednesday morning, I suppose, for y'all. Just is a little bit awkward for me. Anyways, the good news is we get a Voice of Victory on the field against an opponent that's playing blue, and we have our Belladonna Took. So finally, we probably should be able to see Belladonna Took do something on the following turn, because we are going to see some tokens hitting the field. And we find a practiced offense. That's good, because we're going to be drawing some cards here. So Belladonna Took triggers, boom, boom, twice, gain a little bit of life, and draw a card. Not a card that you want to see, though. The second practiced offense, not great at all. But yeah, this card, I don't know. I'm pretty high on it. I think a lot of people are. You look at this, and I think you can see a lot of potential in it. But you definitely need things to work out for you. Okay, so the opponent is representing probably a board wipe. So I think this is the opportunity for us to just put as much damage on the opponent as we possibly can. And it's quite a bit of damage. And we get to draw another card. I think it's 12 damage, right? Ooh, miss on the land. Don't like that. So they're down to 2. We don't have any reach in the deck, so if they have the board wipe here, it's going to put us into a weird position. Never mind. We have the nesting bot. MVP nesting bot for the absolute Giga Chad win against the Azorius control deck. I forgot why I put the nesting bot in the deck. It's because it leaves bodies behind. You go, King. The real MVP. All right. So far, first two games going well, and we got to see Belladonna do 2/3 of the things we want her to do. Need her to do a little bit more. Hey, this opening hand though looks pretty cool because we have the Momo into the last Ronin's technique, which is one thing that I think it's cool. I think it's cool. Obviously, Momo. This is people will refer to this as bad Momo. I believe that's what I called it in the intro. It is bad Momo. It's the uncommon Momo, but it's still not bad. A Voice of Victory landing against our potentially mono red opponent, which could make some of their removal a little bit awkward. But they show us Molten Collapse. What a card. What a card. Well, I think from here, what we're going to do is the last Ronin's technique. I probably should have put out the planes. We're going to do this way because I want to get the scry off, and this also allows me to put the Momo back on the field. Catharsis is pretty good, right? Yeah, Catharsis is really good for the next turn. That's going to provide an extra little bit of a pump. So we're going to have potentially 4 3/3 attackers on the field for the next turn. So if the opponent dirtles a little bit here, we could be in good shape. They didn't dirtle though. And it's possible, is it possible that they're just holding up the demolition field for this turn? They have nothing to do. Do you really think I can get away with a Catharsis on red? Let's do it. That's why we put the Catharsis in the deck, right? Pay with red. They might not respect this amount of damage that's coming in. It's only 8 damage right now. They do go with that. Okay. So we still don't quite have enough damage. What do I want? Doesn't matter. So is it going to be better for me to maybe just do the hop to it instead? Okay, Catharsis, pump up the team, boom, boom. So that's 8. We get another 4 damage if I really want to. The thing is, I kind of feel like this opponent might have a board wipe. They might be playing towards wiping us with, what do you call that card? Avengers Disassembled. No, Tablet of Discovery. Okay, maybe I regret now not being more aggressive. Okay, so we have technically lethal damage. Wow. What a draw. What a draw. Okay, let's go. That's 8. We didn't even need to do the other one. We just had it. Nice. The deck's working, but I will say I feel like the deck's working because the opponent's decks are not working. Always something to keep in mind when you see a new deck, and if it looks really good, like, wow, this thing's playing great, I'm going to craft this thing because it's so busted. Well, did your opponents just like demolition field on turn 3 when you're playing an aggro deck? A lot of decks can win in that situation, right? So I think we're going to try to aim for 10 games. Hopefully in these 10 games we get to see some opponents also doing some interesting stuff. That's what I would like to happen today. So we are definitely going to go out with let's go out with the replacement ones, the ones that replace themselves when they die instead of the headline stadium headliner. What? Okay. Did not expect. I love this card. The 2 knights are such cool cards. I was playing definitely I was a little bit early in my Magic career when this card came out, the Knight of Malice, and then the other one that I can't remember the name of. But I was definitely playing around that time. And do I want to? Yeah, let's do this actually, because we can pitch the practice offense. And I remember seeing these two cards, and the art of the two cards like running against each other is such. It's so cool. It's just awesome, right? Okay, we got our Belladonna Took. That means that on the following turn, we can do some crazy stuff on the following turn. So from here, I don't think I'm blocking with the Stadium Headliner. I may as well gain 1 life. And I'm going to hold back the Nesting Bot and the 1/1, I guess. I don't think it really matters. So if the opponent allows us to keep the Belladonna Took on the field and allows us to attack in freely, what we can do is practice offense, then last Ronin's technique. And that's going to trigger all 3 modes on Belladonna Took, which, okay, didn't work out. That's actually a big old problem for us now. That's a big problem because what this does is gives the opponent so much life that I just cannot even think about overcoming. And we miss on the land, which is probably the biggest problem here. So maybe what the plan actually is attack in with this, bring back the Stadium Headliner, I guess, because my mana tapped. My mana tapped in a way that forced me to do the Stadium Headliner, which I don't like. Because now we are going to be taking a little bit of damage. I didn't need to attack with everything. I needed to actually hold back probably a servo. I guess it doesn't really matter. But what we want is a bunch of bodies on the field so that I can use the Stadium Headliner to shoot down the Knight of Malice. It's my only hope here. I need a land, though. I needed an untapped land, though. Okay. So new plan is just throw one of our creatures into this Knight of Malice. It's fine. So I guess we're just like have at thee kind of situation. Okay, we're not throwing the Stadium Headliner at the opponent yet, and I kind of feel like I want to hold back at least one ninja to block possibly that this Knight of Malice. So they take a little bit of damage. Next turn though, we do have double practiced offense. There are things that we can do. They're going to only be at 18 life, but they do have 2 first striking blockers, which is pretty good. We have choices. What an unusual match I found myself in against 1-2-3 and Stadium or Voice of Victory is good. So because it's the Voice of Victory, I think probably I just want to take this opportunity to shoot the Knight of Malice. And I think I probably want to shoot the Knight of Malice now. So let me make sure I'm doing this right. It costs 2, they got Ward 2. I get back my Belladonna Took. I remove their nasty life-gaining Knight. And there's no reason to attack in yet. Next turn, we can hop to it plus practiced offense. Hop to it triggers the Belladonna Took, puts a +1/+1 counter on everything, and then the practiced offense puts another +1/+1 counter on something. So that's representing a lot of damage as long as the opponent doesn't have the big follow-up here. If they have another Shelter by Ghost, which, hey, opponents that put Shelter by Ghost in their deck, find Shelter by Ghost in their deck. That's a truth. What? They didn't? Okay. Hop to it. Belladonna survives. We get the triple Belladonna trigger. Here we go. Drawing. It's fine. It's something. And then let's go with the ninja. Ninjas should have double strike, right? That looks like a pretty gosh darn good board to me. You know what? I think Belladonna Took goes in. Perhaps I should have put the double strike on the Belladonna Took. But I think we got a bunch of 4/4s. They're at 12. Only 3 need to get through. They only have 3 blockers, so they need removal on top of blocking all of these things. That's a big ask, right? Silver Quill, pretty good. Doesn't give lifelink or anything, so we get them. And they take down opponent. Don't take down Belladonna Took on the way out. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, they needed to block. Yeah, pretty good. Did I say, yeah, why did we get extra damage there? I feel like we got extra damage. Whatever. Oh, the double striker, maybe. I'm having fun. All right, so we're on to game number 5, and I think this is probably a pretty good opportunity. If you've stuck around, thank you. I really appreciate that. You are some amount of time into this video, and I appreciate you sticking around with me. I guess we get rid of the stadium headliner and pray that we are able to do last run technique on the Momo. The other idea is just getting rid of the practiced offense. No, it's too important. But yeah, let me know what you think about what's going on with the Hobbit. I'd love to hear it. And more importantly, if you like some of the decks that you saw in the intro, I think what I'm going to do after I post this video is I'm probably going to go onto the Discord. We do have a Discord. And I'm going to post those deck lists in there. So if you want to jump into the Discord, say hi, join the group. I'm only thinking about this now because my watch is going off. We got a couple people in the Discord talking about some of the new cards from the Hobbit, I suppose, is what they're doing. I don't know what they're talking about. To be perfectly honest, it's just ringing. I keep looking down and looking at it. But yeah, if you join up, say hi to some people. It's kind of cool. And this is what we want to see. Momo flying in. What we really want to see, though, is a land off of the draw. So we do get double scry, which is really good. We desperately need the double scry for Sacred Foundry. I think Hop to it's a little bit too late, right? Is Hop to it too late? It's going to be pretty good. Next turn, it would trigger Belladonna Took one more time, which would give me an insanely wide board. And I think the opponent's a little bit slow. They're on the discard deck. You know what? Let's keep the Hop to it. So we're going to put out the last Ronin technique. We get triple triggers here, gain a life, put a +1/+1 counter on everything, draw a card. That's pretty good. 6 damage to the dome on turn 2, leaving behind a 3/3. Yeah, I like that. And we may as well put this out for the Momo back on the field. So we're going to have a couple of options next turn, depending on how the opponent ends up playing their turn. We could go practice offense, slam in. That seems pretty good to me. We could go frontline rush, hold up the +5/+5 for a sneaky bit of damage. They take out our poor Belladonna. But we do have a backup. Ooh, they take 2 damage from the Sacred Foundry. Put out a Cool But Rude. I know you want to. You got a Cool But... Oh, Hardened Academic. Okay. Hardened Academic. So we do have... We attack in. We have 4 extra damage coming in off of the frontline rush. I don't think they block the Momo. So the safe thing to do is just do this and double strike something. They can gain lifelink, though. The lifelink is the important problem. But I don't really think they block with the Hardened Academic. And I think they might let 5 damage go through, which will be exactly lethal damage. I think this is an attack. I think this is a frontline rush attack, and I don't think they block with the Hardened Academic. Prove me wrong, opponent. But I think I'm big braining right now. I'm playing 5D chess. Oh, the opponent. Oh, good. Oh, they end up blocking. Okay, you know what? I'm fine trading my Momo for the Hardened Academic. The Hardened Academic is a scary card, and the opponent, okay, playing it well. They throw away a land to give the Iron Shield Elf indestructible, which was the expected outcome, but we get 4 damage in. They do not pitch another card to give lifelink to the Hardened Academic, which, okay. Probably we want the land, and I think we don't want the Voice of Victory is really good, though, to stop the opponents from doing things on the following turn. I actually kind of don't hate it. All right, we'll keep that. And so from here, what do we want to do? We want to put out the Hop to it, as boring as it is, just create 3 bodies on the field. So we have 5 in total. Next turn, what we can do is frontline rush, push Belladonna Took, or practiced offense, swing in for lethal. We got options. Putting the opponent under a ton of pressure. Oh, man. I can't believe the opponent blocked with their Hardened Academic. You don't block Momo with a Hardened Academic, do you? Ooh, they take 1 more point of damage from the starting town. And I think what that probably means is we just practiced offense and take them out. We're going to put it on the 2/2. It doesn't really matter. No, it doesn't matter. Because if they have a Burst Lightning here, they would have just reacted to the 2/2 anyways. That's fine. Grab planes. Actually, maybe it works out better because they're blocking. Yeah, it's fine. Double strike. We attack in. They block the 3/3s. We get in with 2 damage. It didn't matter actually what they killed there. We were going to have at least 4 points of damage in. Their land base actually helped us out quite a bit. Mamta is our 6th opponent, and we're actually making headway into Mythic playing this deck. Didn't expect it. And this time around, you know what? Looks okay. We might end up doing the Frontline Rush for the 2 Goblins. I love this card. I think its versatility is so interesting. It's a card that I've played a few different times now. And it's always good to me. Always good. Let's go with the mountain. It's fine. We'll just attack in with the Lake Town Lookout. And then we have our pump up stuff. So if the opponent is breaking out, they're probably not going to leave creatures back for blockers. I still like this card. I actually was playing this card a little bit yesterday after the banned announcement. And yeah, good card is good. So let's put a couple of Gobos on the field. No block though. We don't play that game. And the Voice of Victory is so good here, but is it the Voice of Victory? Or is it practiced offense just get in for a ton of damage against... Yeah, I think it's just get in for a ton of damage. Let's put it on... It doesn't matter, right? So this is 8 damage at the opponent's dome. On the following turn, what we have is Lore Hold Charm plus practiced offense with what will be 4/4, 1 double striking with trample. That's a lot for the opponent to deal with. Now they're holding up 1 red mana. It could be a... Okay. I think this is GG. I think it's GG. Should I... Hang on, let's do the math. They're 4/4, so... They chump block, and then only this one will be getting through. It's 8 damage. It's actually not lethal damage. So it's probably better for me just to attack in with these creatures, see how they block. Okay, that's fine. And we are going to sneak in the Last Ronin's Technique. And then I think we are also going to save our two goblins. And this is, you know, taking them down to 3. We have the practice offense. We have a board of 5 creatures still. That's gotta be good enough to close out the game. Overprotect. Ooh, that's 16 points of damage, opponent. I appreciate what you are doing. I absolutely love it. That's a fist bump. Again, what does this mean? What a crazy game, man. Hey, FOMO. You can't discount a FOMO. That was a lot of sudden damage. There's no way this deck keeps pumping along the way it is. If we got to start running into... Well, okay, Mythic player number 92. Somebody who might be gaming over there. Opening hand, not inspiring, I will say. Probably a questionable keep, but we have our 4 lands. We have our big, you know, practice offense is what wins games. So if you have a practice offense in your opening hand, you kind of feel incentivized to just keep that. The problem is we're going in with Bad Momo and the Lake Town Lookout, an unnamed scout. Good luck to you. So we're going to need some help. That's not bad. Hop to it when we have practiced offense in the reserves. Okay, I'll take it. But they are on the board wipe colors. Day of Black Sun, Withering Curse. This is what I'm imagining my future representing. Oh, it's a Kavaro list. Never mind. It's just Kavaro. And they... Roiling Dragonstorm's cool. Okay. Wow, our deck is making sure that we're going to be able to do the double pump with the practice offense. I expected a block there. Sure. Keeping the town greeter on the field just in case. Awaken the Honored Dead for tons and tons of very desirable targets. What does the opponent choose to take out? They take out Bad Momo. And we we find Last Ronin's Technique, which not bad. Both cards are not bad, right? Maybe I should keep both. So next turn, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be probably practiced offensing and then putting out the... It doesn't matter what we do here. It's a little bit awkward with the mana base the way it is. So the choice here is whether or not... No, what am I doing? I should have kept the Voice of Victory on top. That was a punt, because probably the best play would have been Last Ronin's Technique plus Voice of Victory. Would have resulted in maybe the best outcome, but I think it's fine. We're just going to go like this. They block on a rabbit, which, yep, expected. Always bounce back your regular creature. You know, if you bounce back a token, obviously the token is going to disappear into nothingness. And with the Lake Town Lookout, we can just put it back on the field, right? They mill 3 lands, not hitting their Bringer of the Last Gift. So possibly we are in a position to be able to win on the next turn. What could they have? They could have land double Requiting Hex. We still win through that. Land Town Greeter, we win through that. 1 Requiting Hex, we win through that. So we got this in spades. Double strike. And we don't need to BM the opponent. We just swing in. That's another win. That's a win against the Kavaro list at Mythic level number 92. But a Kavaro list that stumbled. Remember what I said about people stumbling? After I said that about the Kavaro list stumbling, I kind of thought about it a little bit more. And what I was implying was, if a Kavaro doesn't hit a turn 4 Bringer of the Last Gift, it's considered a stumble. What a world. What a world we live in. Hey, you know what else another world we live in? We live in a Bad Momo into Belladonna Took into Last Ronin's Technique kind of world. Hokkaido, please stumble. Please don't kill my Belladonna Took on the next turn. Please don't have Burst Lightning. Oh, we got ourselves a gamer. A Bofer. Oh, Bofer's walking around. Bofer. I love this card. It's a cool card. You know, having this care ability at your disposal seems not so bad. And the opponent gives us the opening for the Momo Last Ronin Technique. We need to hit a land off the top, which we get. Again, I love this Momo. I actually kind of want to put another Momo in the list, because we get the Scry. Practiced offense. Yeah, you keep both. You get the scry, you get the draw, you get the pump on this. I love it. I think it's so incredible when you can actually pull it off. That is a tremendous amount of damage. And we get to replay the Momo out on the following turn. We can do Lake Town plus Lorehold Charm. We can do the practiced offense, really put it on the opponent. They're coming in with their 2 creatures. I don't know what that means. I'm too scared to block. Okay. We know what's on the top of our library. I think it's fine to do this. And with this mana now, what we can do is we could get the Momo back with the Lorehold Charm. We could also just do 10 damage to the opponent with the practice offense, but I kind of think I want to just put out the Lake Town Lookout, attack in for 4, take them down to 8. Lorehold Charm, maybe back the Momo, and the Momo will represent quite a bit of damage in the air. We'll see. I don't know. Buster Sword. Okay. I believe this is lethal damage now. Love that. Buster Sword, Dwarven Mauler, equipping up. This card's a cool card. Oopsie, I keep misclicking. My turn. So we get to see Lorehold Charm actually returning Bad Momo. Love it. And Last Ronin Technique. Is that better? Yeah, it's cooler. It's much cooler than the practiced offense. Okay. Belladonna Took, getting the job done. That's what we want to be seeing. So if you go up against an opponent who 403, you go up against an opponent that's not playing a ton of interaction. That being said, they did Mjolnir our board away. So that is something. But Belladonna Took kind of gets out of control when you can Momo into last Ronin's technique. Awesome. All right, I think we're confirming it. Gandalf better than Bilbo. um, Belladonna Took, the real deal. This card's awesome. It's working. It's working very well. This time, hey, you know what? If the opponent doesn't have interaction, we get to go turn 1 Stadium Headliner into turn 2 Voice of Victory, into a Belladonna Took on the following turn, attack in with Mobilize 3, and trigger the Belladonna Took. And that's kind of cool, right? Human, Kavaro, Voice of Victory for themselves. Cool. We got ourselves a Voice of Victory off. That's... But whose Voice of Victory is stronger? Is it going to be the one that's packing the Halfling Citizen, Belladonna Took? Oh, the Wondrous Wasp to neuter my Voice of Victory? Absolutely insane. Which means I probably need to think about shooting. Oh, I put out the wrong land. Dang. Oopsie poopsie. I kind of need to think about shooting the Wondrous Wasp, I think. With the... Man, I really put out the wrong land. That was bad. Yikes. Yikes. Big yikes. All right, we're crashing. We're crashing. The opponent having the right cards. Maybe Bilbo is stronger than Gandalf. Old Bilbo over there. I like the... How do you feel about them putting the Gandalf in the shop? You know, you buy 10 packs, you get the Gandalf. You also get this... Admittedly, I think this is rad. Awesome Gandalf's back. It looks like the opponent's holding up Aang, right? That's what I'm to assume. So do I just do the practiced offense? That sucks. Do I think about shooting the Wondrous Wasp? I think that might be a better play. So put out the nesting bot and then maybe just try to blast Aang when they put Aang onto the field. Which means that I can attack in kind of comfortably with both of these. Because I am putting them on an Aang. Okay. Let's see your boy. Where is he? No Aang. We just get in for a free 3 points of damage. I'll take that. Take that all day. Okay. So we still probably want to start looking towards shooting the Wondrous Wasp. We really want to get the Voice of Victory's ability. Just an Aang to bounce what? To bounce my nesting bot? Why? Okay. Let's take this opportunity to shoot the Wasp now. Maybe this is wrong. She does only have 3 or 1 life. I probably would have had enough, but they could have bounced my Voice of Victory in response to me sacking the Headliner, which maybe would have left me with 0 creatures on the board, making things very awkward for the Headliner's damage. Very, very awkward, in fact. 0 damage. So I think it's probably okay to do it this way. We really need the Voice of Victory on the field to stop the opponent from doing their flash stuff, because they're very clearly doing a bunch of that. We really needed a land there. So, King T'Challa is good. We are dying. So what I need to do is I need to put out the servo. I need to put out 2 goblins. That feels really bad. And I need to just like ease up for a second and hope not to die. And then maybe on the next turn, if we end up drawing a land, we can go practiced offense, practiced offense. This just might be, you know what? I brought this on myself. I said Gandalf was superior to Bilbo. I was about to say at the start, oh, this deck's awesome. It's really pumping along. And then I saw the 2 avatars, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. We got to say Gandalf's better than Bilbo. And now I'm paying the price for saying that. Paying it big time. Oop, no, we block here. So they deal 4 damage to us. 4 damage is not 5 damage yet. Okay. Interesting. We leave a servo behind. Okay. What's the follow-up? Is the follow-up devastating? An Aven Interrupter for no value. And we miss on the land. We desperately needed a land. Had we drawn a land there, we could have maybe done something, but now we're just dead in the air to... We're just dead in the air to Ang Swift Savior. So GG, opponent. You got me on this one. We can still pump in for a bit of damage, but they're going to block there, and we just get in for a pitiful 9 damage. You know what? A little bit closer than... Was it 9? Yeah, it was 9. 8 damage. A little bit closer than I would have expected, because we did have quite a bit of trouble, and they had the right answers to us. Them having the Wasp. Pretty good. We're going to play one more. Okay, our 10th and final game. Let's see if we can end on a high note. We took a little bit of a loss there in that last one, but I'm still hopeful. Opening hand is okay. We got our pump. We have our early aggression. Maybe we can make something happen with this. We would like to see the third land, I think. It's probably 2 lands is not going to be enough to function on this. Hey, there it is. Function with this opening hand. We definitely want to be like returning. Maybe it didn't really matter. Okay, whoa, hold up. I said I wanted just a one more land, not too many. Chill. Actually, 4 is good. 4 is good, because that means next turn we can, or on turn 4, maybe we can do Frontline Rush plus Lower Hold Charm with quite an aggressive board, and maybe make something happen with that. Beast, we're against Kona. So if they have, so they don't have a way of tapping Kona right now on their turn 4. So what that means to us is that we probably have until turn 5 to win the game. Something big here, land. Best I can do, land. So I think it's probably just look out, hold for turn 4, big pump, deal 3 damage here, take them down to 13. Next turn, they're going to put out the Kona. I'm assuming they're on Kona, because Beast. If y'all are wondering why I'm making that assumption. Formidable Speaker, pretty good, but we do have a lot of damage coming in. We have 10 damage with the 1/1/1 here on the 5 creatures, and then we have an additional 5 damage on one of them and trample. So barring a land drop into... Okay, we got him. Man, was that all lands? Did I draw? No, I think I drew 1 playable card. Yeah, crazy. That's a lot of lands. Okay, GG, opponent. They block one of our spirits, and I don't like that, so I'm going to try to protect my poor little spirit here and banish this Formidable Speaker into the Nether Realm and deal... I got too arrogant for my own shoes. It just made the assumption that it was enough damage. cut the video. Cut the video. So any normal functioning human being who's not riding a high of having a pretty good run with a deck that they just woke up and immediately played after that. I'm making excuses now. That's all I'm doing. But any normal functioning person would have been able to win in this position. And you can don't blame the deck. You blame the big brain person over here. But you know what? I'm gonna attribute this to making sure that the deck didn't do too well. You know, you don't want to go 9-1. It's a little bit too good. Hey, this is kind of cool though. We get to see a Kona pop off. It's fine. It's fine. We'll let the opponent have their fun. They earned this. They sat through things. What do you do when you are met with such an embarrassing moment as this? You just like have to sit here and just accept that you threw away a frontline rush to kill a Formidable Speaker. GG, Gandalf. I'm sorry I let you down, my dude. Wrap up. All right, so we end on the hubris of Aboji Taking a loss at the end there, a very well-deserved loss to, you know what, once in a while you have to remind yourself that you need to actually think when you're playing this game, and it's a good reminder, so I'm glad it happened. And I'm hoping all of you learned something from it. Overall, though, I think the deck is doing exactly what the deck wants to be doing. Belladonna Took is a cool card. The problem with Belladonna Took is something that I mentioned in the video. You need this on the field before you start putting your tokens on the field, obviously. And that can lead to some awkward situations. But it is a pretty great turn 3 when you are able to put out, obviously, your Momo on turn 1. You throw down the Belladonna Took on turn 2. And then you're able to either do Last Ronin's Technique or the Hop to it. Last Ronin's Technique is actually better in that case because you can sneak it for 2 and then replay the Momo. Ends up being more power in the end. But you know what? If you're just attacking in with anything on turn 1, you know, maybe you're making some mobilized triggers or getting some mobilized triggers, you have your Hoist of Victory out. Even just getting the second trigger on Belladonna Took is going to be good enough to justify having this card in your deck, I believe. Obviously, you want to be putting the +1/+1 counter on things, and that's when things really get out of control. But, you know, that's the dream scenario. That's when things are running perfectly. I like the addition of both of these cards in the deck. When played properly, they are extraordinarily potent and can do a lot of things. Frontline Rush is just a fantastic card. There were games where I put out the Goblins, and that was a good way to go about things. And then the Pump is honestly probably something that you have to pay a lot of attention to, because if you're getting +5/+5, +6/+6 out of that Pump, wow, can you do a lot of damage with it. The one card that obviously probably not being good enough is, unfortunately, Catharsis. We do have some other choices. I did think about the Imodane's Recruiter is one of those cards that I think would fit quite nicely in this deck. It's a 3 CMC card though, but it is a 2/2. When it enters, creatures you control get +1/+0 and haste, so it is itself a 3/2 attacker on that turn. So a nice little pump up, but it is 3 mana. I don't know if that's where we want to be going with it, but I think the Catharsis might just be, I don't know. I want to play around with it a little bit more because I feel like I could have been doing Catharsis on turn 2 for white, putting out the 1/1 green and white Kithkin tokens more often. I need to try it out. Overall, I think it's good. The one change that I think I would make to the deck is maybe going up 1 Momo and unfortunately going down 1 Lake Town Lookout. I think the Lake Town Lookout in the end was less impressive to me than I had originally expected it to be. I also, Belladonna Took as a 4 of is also a little bit awkward. Probably it should be a 4 of in the deck because it is so integral to the strategy that we're trying to pull off. Going down to 3, not so great. But you know what? If you have your recruit ability going, you can pitch excess Belladonna Tooks. Also, she's a bit of a lightning rod. What do you think? Should it be 4 or should it be 3 in the deck? But anyways, that's the deck. It ran very well, going 8-2 because of pilot error, and that's the way it goes sometimes. So anyways, let me know what you think about the deck. That's it for this one. Hope you're enjoying the Hobbit. I will have another video out on Friday, fingers crossed, hopefully, and we're going to see some more Hobbit goodness. Take care for now, Sanangi Ipana, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.